On May 27, 2020, one of the oldest names in outboard engines vanished overnight. 650 jobs gone. Owners left with 30% parts stock and resale values gutted by a quarter. That was just the first brand on a death list nobody's talking about. Flywheel failures, hidden corrosion, back-to-back recalls, 5 outboard brands now showing documented signs of collapse. It started with one voicemail. Mike Harper's phone lit up just after noon with a message he never expected. The voice on the other end, shaky but direct, spelled out the truth. Evinrude was finished. On May 27, 2020, BRP's press release confirmed it. Production of all Evinrude E-Tech and E-Tech G2 outboards would stop immediately. The Sturdivant, Wisconsin factory, once the heart of a 110-year legacy, would be repurposed. 650 jobs vanished in a single day, not just in Wisconsin, but across every corner of BRP's global workforce. For owners, the impact hit just as hard. BRP promised to honor warranties and keep parts flowing through dealers. But the reality on the ground was different. Local shops scrambled to source inventory, and forums filled with anxious posts about dwindling supplies. Only 30% of the usual parts stock remained in circulation. Dealers, caught off guard, watched as resale values for late-model Evinrudes dropped by as much as 25% almost overnight. Boats that once held their value now sat on lots, unsold, or traded at a steep loss. Mike's own service bill arrived a week later, $4,800 for a fuel injector and electronic control replacement on his 2019 E-Tech G2. With no factory support for future claims, he faced a tough choice: pay now and hope for continued parts availability, or cut his losses and switch brands. Across the country, stories like his played out in real time. A century-old name, trusted by generations of boaters, had disappeared with a single announcement. The risk of total abandonment wasn't theoretical anymore. It was personal, and it was expensive. Mercury's position at the top of the outboard market looks unshakable on paper. Nearly half of all outboards sold in the United States now wear the Mercury badge. And in Europe's high horsepower segment, that number climbs towards 70%. Boat show after boat show, Mercury engines dominate the docks and command the spotlight, whether in Sydney, Dusseldorf, or Miami. Dealers drawn by Brunswick's deep financing and bundled electronics fill their lots with Mercury-powered boats, crowding out rivals and reinforcing the brand's grip on inventory. But behind the showroom gloss, a different story unfolds for owners. The Verado series, Mercury's flagship, has developed a reputation for recurring mechanical failures that can turn routine maintenance into a financial nightmare. Supercharger belt failures, alternator breakdowns, and corrosion at shift control studs are more than isolated headaches. In 2019, Mercury issued a bulletin recalling over 4,000 units for actuator water intrusion, a problem that left some engines stranded and required extensive repairs. Mechanics report that even basic fixes often demand full engine disassembly, driving service bills well above $8,000. For Linda Ortiz, whose 350 horsepower Verado spent 6 weeks waiting on parts after a coil pack failure, the cost wasn't just money. It was lost time on the water and mounting frustration as her dealer juggled backlogged repairs. Mercury's 3-year warranty offers some safety net, but for many owners, the real price of dominance is measured in downtime and out-of-pocket expense. Market share may look like security, but a big name on the cowl doesn't guarantee peace of mind when the next recall or repair bill lands in the mailbox. James Delgado throttled back his Yamaha-powered center console, expecting a routine day on the water. Instead, he found himself adrift, engine dead, cell signal fading. The culprit? A failed flywheel, an issue Yamaha owners know all too well. In 2022, Yamaha issued Service Bulletin 2022-01, quietly instructing dealers to replace certain flywheels on V8 outboards every 100 hours. For most owners, that's less than a single season of use. The bulletin didn't come with a recall or a free replacement. Instead, it outlined a $4,200 out-of-pocket program for those outside warranty. Delgado's own repair bill landed just above that mark, $4,100 for parts and labor, plus the cost of a tow back to shore. For a brand that built its reputation on reliability, the message was clear. The risk now falls squarely on the owner. The flywheel's metallurgy, engineered for weight savings, couldn't withstand the stress of repeated saltwater use. Reports of catastrophic failures multiplied on boating forums, with some owners describing engines that locked up without warning, leaving them stranded miles from help. In 2021, a lawsuit, Case 2021 C12, was filed in federal court, alleging Yamaha concealed a known defect and failed to provide adequate remedy. Plaintiffs pointed to hundreds of documented flywheel failures, arguing the 100-hour interval was an engineered shortcut, not a fix. Yamaha responded by offering extended parts coverage only to select serial numbers, leaving many owners to absorb the full financial hit. For boaters like Delgado, the premium badge no longer meant peace of mind. It meant calculating risk, budgeting for major repairs, and wondering if the next trip might end with another silent engine and a call for rescue. Tommy Lee's story began with a routine spring haul-out. When his Suzuki DF350A came off the lift, the mechanic found a patch of white crust at the base of the engine block, a warning sign most owners never see until it's too late. Suzuki's DF series outboards, especially the DF350A, rely on a steel anode plug pressed into an aluminum block. In saltwater, that combination triggers galvanic corrosion, eating through the block at a rate of 0.15 millimeters per year, triple the maximum tolerance set by Suzuki's own engineering specs. Within 3 seasons, nearly 12% of DF series engines in one field study showed advanced block decay, most invisible from the outside. Lee posted his repair invoice to the forums, $5,300 for a block plug replacement and corrosion cleanout, not covered by warranty. Suzuki issued a technical bulletin, but offered no recall or retrofit, just a recommendation to inspect plugs annually and use aftermarket anodized replacements. For saltwater boaters, the risk is silent and expensive. Fail to catch it early, and the engine can flood or seize without warning, leaving owners with a dead block and a bill that rivals the price of a used car. The corrosion isn't just a nuisance, it's a design shortcut that shifts the entire financial burden to the owner. Ruth Patel's inbox filled with alerts just days apart, each one carrying a new headache for Honda owners. In June 2025, Honda issued recall number 21-02 for the BF115, BF140, BF150, and BF350 outboards. A shift actuator rod could fracture without warning, disabling gear selection mid-run. The recall covered 7,800 engines, many still under warranty, but the fix wasn't quick. Dealers reported weeks-long waits for parts, and owners faced labor bills that topped $2,000 if their warranty had expired. Less than a year earlier, recall number 22-07 had already targeted the flagship BF200, BF225, and BF250 models for alternator belt failures, forcing hundreds of boaters to bring in engines for inspection or risk sudden power loss offshore. Honda's official cost survey pegged the average out-of-pocket expense at $6,200 for owners caught outside the coverage window. In an email, Patel wrote, "I bought Honda for peace of mind. Now my boat sits in dry dock, and I'm paying for a problem they caused." For a brand once known for bulletproof reliability, 2 major recalls in 12 months have left owners questioning whether any outboard is truly safe from expensive surprises. Kelly Morgan's name appears in a dealer memo dated August 2024, the kind of document that rarely surfaces outside closed circles. In it, Morgan warns that dealer floor plan loans, often totaling $2 million or more, now carry a cross-default clause. If a dealer misses a payment on Mercury engines, the default triggers across every Brunswick brand, including Navico Electronics. Since Brunswick's $400 million acquisition of Navico in April 2024, that leverage now stretches from outboards to navigation systems, parts, and even safety gear. The result? Dealers locked into bundled contracts, unable to drop Mercury or Navico lines without risking their entire inventory loan. The squeeze tightens further with tariffs. U.S. import duties on Japanese outboards, set at 15% to 20% for 2025, have forced dealers to stockpile Yamaha, Suzuki, and Honda engines ahead of price hikes. But once those pre-tariff inventories are gone, switching brands means absorbing the full cost increase, an expense few dealers can justify with interest rates at 13% and floor plan audits every quarter. SEC filings from Brunswick and recent trade schedules confirm these pressures, with dealer financing terms growing more restrictive as the market contracts. For boaters, the illusion of choice fades fast. A dealer locked into a Mercury Navico agreement can't offer alternatives without risking loan default or losing access to key electronics. As tariffs drive up prices and financing grows more aggressive, both dealers and owners find themselves trapped, committed to brands they may no longer trust, with fewer options and higher costs every season. Today, brand logos still promise reliability, but Evinrude's 2020 shutdown and Yamaha's unresolved recalls prove reputations can vanish overnight. With Brunswick's market share at 47% and parts support uncertain, every boater now faces higher stakes. The next breakdown won't just cost money, it could cost trust. Stay alert.